Alright, we got an Xbox Series X here. There's a couple issues with this one that the customer wanted me to handle. For one, it's extremely dirty. I don't know if you're able to see in here, but the, as I like to call it, the radiator here, is definitely jammed up and there's hair and skin and stuff everywhere, so we got to clean that out. The other thing that needs to be fixed on this, why the customer mainly brought it in here, was for the Ethernet port. So this is a new Ethernet port here. As you can see, it looks really nice. It's got a really good shape to it. The one that's on here is actually broken up. So you can see that the bottom here is all broken. So we're gonna have to desolder this one and put the new one on there. And then we'll also have to put new thermal paste on here because he said it was starting to heat up and it was making a bunch of noise. Obviously there's a lot of dust too, so we'll have to heat that up or get that fixed up there too. So I already took all the screws out of this level here, bottom here and the top, so I just need to disconnect everything now. This fan plug right here just pulls out, maybe, there it goes, and then that just slides up. So yeah, the fan's definitely got some dirt on it. Alright, and we have to pull these ribbons out. So this one you have to push the tab in and pull up. And on this one, you have to pull the tab out. And then you can pull up on that one. And then this one has adhesive right here and then tape right here. So you just have to pull that up. That way it's out of the way. And we'll have to slide this guy up here. There's a little tab right here you can push in and push up. And this holds the disk drive right here. So we're just gonna pull that up. And that'll just pop right out. There we are. I'll have to take these two connectors off here. I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything off screen. Then we gotta take these connectors off, and these are for the disk drive. They just pull out. The one with all of the wires on it, I like to pull that one out by hand, and then this one I pull it out very carefully with a set of pliers because it's a pain to get out with your hands or your fingers, especially if you have like bigger hands. However, if you're using pliers, you want to be very careful not to pull too hard. It's just a light pull and wiggle back and forth. It comes right out like so. Alright, so now we can pull that out. And now we can pull out the actual system itself. So there's two pins at the bottom here. In order to pull this out, you have to slide it up. So we're going to go ahead and slide it up and then pull straight up. And pull that out. And then this is the box, the X box, the box here. We're going to put that to the side for now. And this thing is pretty dirty. Yeah, I actually have not seen one this dirty. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off a little bit and then show you what I do next. Alright, I had to brush it off a little bit. I don't like to touch all that stuff very much. I didn't get it exactly fully clean yet. I'll do that when I'm putting it back together. But now you have this rubber piece right here, which is basically useless. I think it just holds it tighter inside of the system a little better. But that just pulls off in these little areas here, just like so, and it's really easy to put back on. So now that we have that off, we can go ahead and start taking out all the screws here. So you have screws that hold this plate down, you have screws that hold the connector for the power supply down, and then you have screws for this card right here, and you have screws that hold down the power supply by itself. And they're all various sizes. So you have small, medium, and large. The small ones are all black. The medium ones are silver, and the large ones are also silver. I'm gonna go ahead and change this battery out real quick. I'm running a little slow here. That's a lot better. Alright, so this one should be medium, medium, long here. Medium. Medium. And then long. This is really simple. You just pop this up here, which I'll show that in a second, but small, small, and then the ones that hold in the card have a wider face on them, so it's easy to determine those separately. And then that just pulls straight out, like so. Then you have a long one here. I think there's long ones on every single one of the corners. Short, and then another long. And then you have a short one here that holds this little plate. And underneath that plate is another short screw. So we go ahead and take that off. And there's the other short screw there. That's the only short screw on the power supply. And then you have one more medium one here. And now we'll go ahead and take the power supply ones out. So you got short, and then you have 3 long, 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 and long here. Boom. All right, now we can start the disassembly. So what you're gonna want to do is lift this guy up. It just pops up like so, and then you just slide this out. Boom. And now you'll lift this plate up, and you don't want to jerk it because you don't want to ruin these. You just slide it forward like that. Alright, and then you also have this guy right here that you'll need to pop up. Same thing. Just pops up like that. And now there's another connector that puts power to this board, and that's this little guy here. You just pull that back and pull it out. There's certain ways that you can pull these out. You can either use pliers, or you can use your fingers for the power supply connecting to the bottom board down here. I do it either way, so I just hold this up, and I could just use my thumb and just push on that and pull up, kind of pulling back and forth, and it comes out super easy. Sometimes when they're harder to get out, I will use my pliers and just squeeze that tab down and pull it out that way. So what we're accessing on this level is the Ethernet port, so this board is actually like upside down, which we're going to take the Ethernet off, but we also need to change the thermal paste out, which is on the lower level down here, so we're gonna have to take this off anyways. These levels are just, they're not held together by anything else at this point. That's what those long screws are for, that connect in those certain places. So this is one of the older Xbox Series X's, and you can tell because the tabs are on the side. On the newer ones, this piece right here is actually plastic, and there's a tab right in the middle that you just hold in and pull it out. So now you're just going to hold this ribbon here, and you're just going to kind of lightly move this top board back and forth until it slides off, just like that. So this is the board we're going to have to change the Ethernet port on, but we're also going to have to get underneath this board in order to change the thermal paste out. But we're going to set that aside right now, and we'll do that after we get the Ethernet port swapped. So, kind of messy in here today. I have a lot of stuff coming in and out. So we're going to take these screws out here on this metal plate, and then we also have to take the screws out for this card here. The only reason you have to take these ones out is because there's a connector that connects this board with this card here, and you can't just leave this one screwed in because it has to be able to move up a little bit to pull it out. So I'm going to go ahead and take that plate off, which is just a bunch of the small black ones. Alright, so now this board here will be loose. We just need to lift this metal plate up. And this board, as you can see, is separate from the card here. This plastic piece here will just lift up and come out. Maybe. Okay, it kind of slides back. Alright, and then we're going to want to take these guys off here too. Just be careful when you do this. You don't want to break the connector to the board. Alright, now we just need to take the screws out of this one just to loosen it so we can get this connector pulled out. Alright, so we don't technically have to take this off. There is a little metal piece here that's holding that on there. So all we need to do is basically just lift this board up a little bit. It's got to lift over that pin there. And as you lift it, you just want to slide it forward. And it just disconnects, so we're going to go ahead and leave that guy on there. But that's the connector right there that we're taking off. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. So that's the connector that we're taking off there. And this is the Ethernet that we need to swap out. Alright, we're going to go ahead and go over to the soldering station and swap this guy out. Alright, so I got a new setup going on here. I cleaned up my microscope a little bit. And then of course I have a screen that I use in order to look through here. I get headaches really easy. Looking through the microscope can cause that if it's ever like blurry and I need to adjust it. However, you know, I still use the microscope. It's a lot more clear than using this little camera here. This is just a little cheap camera. I'm pretty sure it's only like 20-30 bucks. So we're going to put some flux on the bottom here. I'll go ahead and show you guys what this looks like once I get solder on there. But basically you want to put your own solder on there. I have my soldering iron set to 420. The hotter you go on these boards, the better. Just because the solder that they use is really high temp. So we're just going to kind of go in circles because it seems to want to grab when we do that. So it's not doing it at first. We'll just keep doing it until it heats up a little bit. Okay, so it's starting to grab in certain areas here. And you'll notice that it changes color, so it'll go from like the dull gray to a shiny silver. And that means that your solder is sticking to their solder. If you choose to use normal solder that's not leaded, then you won't have this issue. But if you're using leaded solder like I do, then there is an issue, and it takes a little bit of work to get these mixed together. So now we're going to, okay, so now we got it on that foot. We need to get it on this foot here. Just keep going in circles there. It's just dispersing the heat around a little bit. Alright, got it on that foot. Then we're going to do this one here, so it will stick to the board there. That's okay, because you could just swipe it away, or you can just use copper wicking to get that off. But it looks like we have solder put on each one of those, our solder, which will make it a lot easier to take it off. It'll make it a lower temperature for when we take it off. I'm gonna go ahead and show you that real quick. I gotta go. Let's see what my daughters want, but as you can see here, so you have the 4 feet, and then you have all these pins right here, and that's where we put the new solder at. And so now we're just gonna use our heat gun. We're gonna heat this up, and this will just drop out of the bottom. All right, cool. All right, we're gonna go ahead and heat this up with our hot air gun. So this one's noisy, but I actually like this hot air gun a lot better. I think I have it set at 440. Yeah, so the heat is set at 440. The air is set at 60%. Alright, now we're just gonna go ahead and apply the heat to this. And you just want to bring something in here to take it off. So I'm gonna use these tweezers here. I'm just gonna heat it up until it turns into a liquid. And if you do it upside down like this, it's a lot easier than doing it from the bottom, because this will push the solder down, and then as it pushes it down, this pull will loosen up, and then you can just pull it down, so gravity will help you with it. So it looks like it's loosening up pretty good. Just going to test it a little bit. See if we can get it to move at all. Not yet. A little bit more. Okay, now it's starting to pull down a little bit. Okay, now it's breaking free. Definitely getting more loose. Yep, now it's starting to give away pretty good. Just gonna jiggle it a little bit. Back and forth, side to side. Like that, pop right out. Alright, now we're just going to clean up these holes. We're going to clean up this solder right here, get that either flattened out or try to get as much of that off as we can. That's not really a big deal. And then we'll put the new one on. Alright, so I got the holes sucked out there. Forgot to record. However, you just blow heat from the bottom side here, and then you just use your sucker tool and just get that out. Or if you're using a copper wick, with the iron, you can also do that. I just don't like that. It takes too long to do it. And then, of course, I sucked up this little area here as well, so it's not a mound anymore. It's actually laying flat, so that's not going to cause any issues. Now we just need to put the new Ethernet port on there, and then we're going to secure it with new solder. Alright, so I got the new Ethernet port on there. I am going to have to heat it, so I'm going to have to flip it over and heat it and let it sink down a little bit because it's not sitting perfect on there. It's sitting kind of crooked. So we're just going to heat it from the bottom side now and let it sink down into place. Alright, so now it's sitting exactly how I want it to sit on there. I just heated it up a little bit from the bottom here, and it just fell straight into place. So we're going to go ahead and put this to the side, and we're going to take the rest of the board apart and put the new thermal paste on there. So I've already taken off the ribbon here, and I've taken this off. See, as you can see, there's some scorching on here. This is not needed, okay? I'm just gonna let you know now, this sits on there and I never put them back on, and there's a reason for it. Even the newer Xbox Series X models, they don't even have this. So they don't have that top plate, and they don't even have this rail here. It's not needed. It's just something that makes it harder to access the inside of this. So I never put it back on. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take these screws off here and pull this X up, and that'll allow us to access the thermal paste underneath the board here. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take these screws out here, and you want to do them a little bit at a time. So about halfway right there, halfway right there, halfway right there, and halfway right there. The reason you do that is because you don't want this to pop, because it'll like spring up super fast and it could hit any of those components underneath there. You don't want that to happen. Now we're going to go ahead and take that one all the way out. We're going to take this one out slowly. Alright, and as you can see now it's loose and it didn't pop up crazy or nothing. So we can take out the other ones here. Alright, and now we can just go ahead and lift that bad boy up. And now we just need to get at the board here. So sometimes you can just lift it up, other times you kind of have to pry around the edges. It's nice because there's no components on the edges, so you can just kind of pull up, or you can use a tool to help it out. I might have to use a tool on this one because that thermal paste is probably super dried up, and it almost acts like a adhesive when that happens. So I'm just gonna press up on all the sides here. You don't want to like scoop in, like push inside, because you may hit a component. You just want to keep it on this copper railing here. Just go around and just kind of pry up on that side as you go around. It may not seem like you're doing anything at first, but I promise you it is loosening it up. It just needs a little help. Alright. There, right there. Alright, now we can start getting a little more aggressive with it as we pull up. And then we can slide the tool under here where that little screw goes and just pry up. You want to make sure that the board isn't hot or anything. Like if you've done work on it or anything, you want to make sure the board's not hot before you do this, because you don't want it to be hot and then pull up on it, as components can come loose. So we're going to go ahead and pull up, and the thing's stuck on there pretty good. So I guarantee you when we open this up, that thermal paste is going to be super dried, really bad. So yeah, you just want to pry up on each one of where the screw holes are, so that's where you have the most leverage from. And that was a good one right there. So we should be able to get it off now. Just go ahead and push up carefully. And you'll hear it start to peel. Alright. And then we'll just pull up here. Yep. Alright, now it's loose. Alright, and sure enough, that thermal paste is no longer thermal paste. Now it's thermal glue. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and scrape all this off and clean it off with alcohol and then put the new stuff on. Alright, we cleaned off the old thermal paste, got the new thermal paste on there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and assemble it back together, and as I assemble it, I'm going to clean each part individually. I'm not going to record all of that. I showed you how to disassemble it, so the assembly is the exact opposite of disassembly. So we're going to go ahead and put it back together and then test it out and make sure that it works and everything. Alright, so this is that Xbox. As you can see, day and night difference, a lot cleaner now. It's not perfect. There's a couple things and nooks and crannies in here and there, but it's a lot better now, so it'll definitely stay a lot cooler. There's the new Ethernet port put on there. We're going to go ahead and put it back together fully, and then we're going to test that and make sure it's working great. Alright, I got my cool controller here to test this. It says that it's all good. It's connected to the internet and everything. There's the Ethernet plugged in there. So that repair is all good. Good to go.